Have you ever thought about how many minutes of your day simply vanish, not spent, not invested, but wasted? Imagine this. Every morning you are given 86,400 seconds, a full bank account of time, but by night it resets to zero. You can't save it, you can't borrow more, and you can't get a refund. The question is, how much of it did you truly use to grow? Most people lose time not because they are lazy, but because they are not listening. They talk, they scroll, they react, but they don't listen, and that is where their growth silently stops. Building connection. When I was young, I used to think success came from speaking boldly and acting fast, but life has taught me something else, that the most powerful people in the world are quiet learners. They observe, they absorb, and then they act with precision. So when I say, don't waste your time, listen every day, I mean this. Every person you meet, every story you hear, every piece of advice is a lesson waiting to shape your tomorrow. If you ignore it, you're not just ignoring words, you're ignoring years of experience that could save you from failure. Heart of the message, wisdom tone. Listening doesn't mean agreeing with everyone. It means respecting the wisdom of others enough to learn from them. The best minds in history didn't waste time proving themselves right. They spent time understanding what others knew, because when you listen, you gain something that no book or degree can teach, perspective, call to action. So starting today, make a simple promise to yourself every single day. Listen. Listen to the people who've failed and to those who've succeeded. Listen to those who dream differently from you, because in their stories, you'll find pieces of your own journey. And when you listen deeply, time no longer feels wasted. It becomes an investment, one that will return in wisdom, strength, and success. Closing, emotional and memorable. Remember, time doesn't slow down for anyone, but if you learn to listen, time will start working for you. So don't waste your time chasing noise. Use your time building wisdom and listen. Every day, time is the most precious resource every human being possesses, yet it is also the most commonly wasted. We often speak about money, about opportunities, about success and failure, but very few people stop to speak about time because they assume it is endless. The truth, however, is that time is the only thing in life that cannot be earned back once it slips away. You can lose wealth and regain it. You can lose a position and reclaim it. You can even lose trust and slowly rebuild it. But once a moment passes, it is gone forever. When you truly understand the value of time, your entire perspective on life begins to shift. You start to realize that every second you spend is a choice, either an investment or an expense. Each day, the universe gives you the same 24 hours that it gives to the most successful people on this planet. The only difference is how you use them. Some people turn those hours into ideas, creations, and legacies. Others let them dissolve into distraction, regret, and unfulfilled dreams. We all get caught in the illusion that we have time. We say, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll start next week. I still have years ahead. But life doesn't wait for anyone. The world keeps moving, opportunities keep passing, and while we're busy delaying, someone else is already working. Time moves quietly. It doesn't warn you when it's slipping away. One day you'll look back and realize that the moments you ignored were the moments that could have changed your life. I often believe that the greatest tragedy is not death. It is the waste of life while we are alive. People spend hours scrolling through meaningless content, arguing about things that don't matter, or chasing approval from others. And they forget that time is silently ticking away. Ask anyone who has reached the end of their journey, and they will tell you the biggest regret is not what they did wrong, but what they never did at all. If you think about it, time is the most democratic gift life offers, no matter who you are, rich or poor, educated or uneducated. Each of us receives the same number of hours in a day. The difference between people who rise and people who remain the same is not luck. It is the awareness of time's value. Successful people don't have more time. They just waste less of it. They treat every hour like a brick and build something meaningful out of it, while others let those bricks scatter into dust. We live in an age where distractions are disguised as entertainment and where busyness is mistaken for productivity. But valuing time doesn't mean rushing or living in constant pressure. It means being conscious. It means asking yourself, is what I'm doing right now helping me grow, or is it just helping time pass? When you begin to respect your time, you automatically start respecting yourself, because how you spend your time is a reflection of how much you value your own life. One of the most powerful realizations I've ever had is that life is not about having time. It's about making time for what truly matters. You will never find time for your dreams, your relationships, or your passions. You have to create it. If you keep waiting for the right moment, it will never arrive, because the right moment is always now. Every day you delay is a day you can never recover. The people who achieve great things are not those who had endless hours. They are those who use small hours wisely. There's also another dimension to valuing time, valuing other people's time. When you show up late, when you delay decisions, or when you make others wait unnecessarily, you're not just being careless, you're taking away pieces of their life that they'll never get back. Respecting others' time is a mark of integrity and humility. It says, I understand that your moments are just as precious as mine. And that kind of respect builds trust, admiration, and strong relationships. It's also important to remember that valuing time doesn't mean never resting. Rest itself is an investment if done purposefully. But rest without intention becomes laziness, and work without awareness becomes burnout. The balance comes from understanding that every minute must have meaning, even if that meaning is to recharge your body or mind for something greater. Time is like a silent teacher. It doesn't speak, but it shows. It teaches you through the passing of seasons, through the fading of faces, through the rise and fall of your own energy. One day you realize that your strength isn't the same. Your circle has changed, and the moments you once thought would last forever are now just memories. That's when it hits you. Time is not waiting for your readiness. It moves with or without you. So if you wish to do something meaningful, do it today. If you want to say something kind, say it now. If you want to start something new, begin immediately. The greatest wisdom is not knowing what to do. It's realizing that the right moment is this one, because in the end, it won't matter how much time you had. It will only matter how much of it you used well. Maybe that's what life is truly about. Not the number of years you live, but the number of moments you lived with awareness, passion, and purpose. Every tick of the clock is a reminder. You are not running out of time. Time is running out of you. So cherish it, protect it, and most importantly, use it wisely. Because once today becomes yesterday, no power in this world can bring it back again. Listening is not just the act of hearing words. It is the art of understanding beyond sound. Most people believe they are good listeners simply because they remain silent while someone else speaks. But true listening is not about waiting for your turn to reply. It is about being present enough to absorb, to reflect, and to connect. It is a discipline, a form of respect, and a doorway to wisdom that most people walk past without noticing. When you genuinely listen, you are not only hearing another person's voice, you are witnessing their story, their pain, their experience, and their truth. Every human being you meet knows something you do not. They have walked paths you have never seen, faced challenges you have never imagined, and discovered lessons you may never find on your own. Listening allows you to borrow years of someone else's life in a few minutes of conversation. It saves you from making the same mistakes, and it opens your mind to new perspectives that can change your direction entirely. There is a reason why people speak less and listen more. Words are like arrows. Once released, they cannot be taken back, but listening is like a shield. It protects you from ignorance, misunderstanding, and impulsive judgment. The smartest minds in history did not become great by talking endlessly. They grew by observing, by staying curious, and by learning from everyone around them. The ability to listen deeply is not a weakness. It is a mark of strength, patience, and maturity. Most of the conflicts in the world, whether in families, workplaces, or nations, arise not because people cannot talk, but because they cannot listen. Everyone wants to be understood, yet few make the effort to understand others. When we truly listen, we create space for empathy, and empathy is the foundation of all meaningful relationships. The person who listens with attention and heart earns more respect than the person who speaks loudly but says little of value. Listening also teaches humility. It reminds us that we do not know everything and that there is always room to learn. Every time you listen, you are silently admitting, I have something to learn from this moment. That mindset alone separates the wise from the arrogant. A person who listens well is like a sponge, absorbing knowledge from every direction, whether it comes from a teacher, a worker, a stranger, or even a child. Life itself keeps speaking. It's just that most of us are too distracted to hear it in the noise of modern life. The skill of listening has almost disappeared. People interrupt each other, speak over one another, and rush to respond instead of pausing to understand. We are surrounded by voices but starved of genuine connection. The irony is that we have more ways to communicate than ever before. Phones, messages, social media. Yet people feel more unheard and misunderstood than at any time in history. Why? Because listening has become rare. Everyone wants attention. Few want awareness. Listening is not limited to people. It extends to situations, to silence, to your own inner voice. Sometimes life gives you signs long before it gives you answers. If you are too busy talking, you'll miss those signs. The business that listens to its customers grows. The leader who listens to their team inspires loyalty. The friend who listens heals another's pain. The person who listens to life itself finds direction when others feel lost. The power of listening lies not in reaction, but in revelation. When you listen deeply, you start hearing what isn't being said. You sense the hesitation behind someone's smile, the exhaustion behind their laughter, the longing behind their silence. That kind of understanding doesn't just make you wiser, it makes you human. And humanity is what the world is losing fastest in its race for recognition. There's also a secret benefit of listening that many overlook. It improves your thinking. When you listen carefully, you gather raw material for your mind to process. You expose yourself to ideas, perspectives, and lessons that challenge your existing beliefs. That's how you grow. The person who listens is like a traveler collecting treasures along the way. Each word, each story, each viewpoint adds to their wealth of understanding. The greatest mentors, leaders, and innovators were not those who spoke the most. They were those who listened long enough to find what truly mattered. They listened to people's needs before creating solutions. They listened to criticism before making improvements. They listened to failure before designing success. Listening is not passive. It is an active choice to open your mind before opening your mouth. Many people fear silence, but silence is where listening truly happens. When you stop speaking, you start hearing. not just others, but yourself. You begin to recognize your inner voice, your doubts, your dreams, and your direction. Listening to your heart is just as important as listening to the world around you, because sometimes your instincts whisper what your mind refuses to accept. The quiet moments often hold the loudest truths. Listening every day doesn't mean you have to agree with everyone you hear. It means you are willing to understand before you decide. It means you value wisdom over ego. It means you care more about learning something new than proving that you are right. This attitude transforms ordinary conversations into moments of discovery. The person who listens grows quietly, while the person who only talks stays where they are. If you want to rise in life, learn to listen to those who have already walked the path you wish to take. Their words can save you years of struggle. Listen to those below you too, because wisdom is not limited by position or power. Sometimes the most valuable lesson comes from the most unexpected person. When you listen with humility, every person becomes a teacher and every moment becomes a classroom. Listening every day is like watering the soil of your mind. It keeps you fresh, flexible, and growing. The more you listen, the more you learn, the more you learn, the more you understand, and the more you understand, the better choices you make. In a world full of noise, the listener stands out, not because they are loud, but because they are wise. So listen, not just with your ears, but with your eyes, your heart, and your silence. Listen to people, to life, and to yourself, because in listening, you don't lose your voice, you find your purpose. Learning is not something that ends with school, college, or a degree. It is something that begins the day you decide to grow and continues as long as you breathe. The most successful people are not those who learned once and stopped. They are those who learn every single day. The habit of daily learning through listening, observation, and reflection is what separates those who merely live from those who truly evolve. Life keeps teaching, but only those who keep their minds open continue to receive its lessons. Making listening a daily habit of learning transforms ordinary days into extraordinary ones. Every conversation becomes a classroom, every mistake becomes a lesson, and every challenge becomes a teacher. When you start listening with the intention to learn, even silence speaks to you. You begin to notice patterns, meanings, and wisdom in places where others see nothing. It is a beautiful experience because life doesn't always teach through textbooks. It teaches through moments, people, and experiences that often pass unnoticed. The truth is, your growth doesn't depend on how many years you've lived. It depends on how many lessons you've absorbed. Some people live 80 years and repeat the same year 80 times, while others live 20 years and learn enough to guide a generation. The difference lies in attitude. Those who make listening and learning a daily routine move forward faster because every day adds something new to their understanding of the world. Learning every day is not about forcing yourself to study or filling your mind with random information. It is about developing curiosity, the desire to know more, to understand better, and to question deeper. Curiosity is the seed of progress. Every invention, every discovery, every breakthrough began with a question, and every question was born from listening. When you listen carefully, you find ideas hidden between words, clues buried in conversations, and solutions disguised as simple observations. In every part of life, there is a constant battle between noise and silence. The world today is louder than it has ever been. Everyone is speaking, few are listening, and even fewer are understanding. Social media, news, conversations, and opinions all compete for our attention every minute. But not all sounds carry wisdom, and not every voice deserves space in your mind. The ability to recognize the difference between empty noise and meaningful words is one of the most valuable skills you can ever develop. It determines not only what you learn, but also who you become. Noise is everywhere. It surrounds us, distracts us, and often drowns out our own thoughts. People talk to fill silence, not realizing that silence itself is full of answers. We waste so much energy listening to what the world wants us to hear instead of listening to what we need to hear. The world's noise tries to convince you that faster is better, louder means stronger, and constant activity equals success. But real strength comes from calmness, and real growth begins when you stop reacting to every sound around you. When you train yourself to separate noise from meaning, your life becomes simpler and more powerful. You begin to realize that not every comment needs a response, not every argument deserves your time, and not every opinion has value. There are people who speak just to be heard, and there are people who speak to help others grow. Wisdom lies in identifying the difference. The moment you learn to do that, you save yourself from confusion, stress, and wasted energy. Silence has always been misunderstood. People often see silence as emptiness, but in truth, silence is a space full of understanding. When you choose silence, you are not avoiding life, you are processing it, you are giving your mind time to absorb, analyze, and prepare for the next step. The greatest thinkers, leaders, and creators in history all valued moments of quiet because they knew that silence allows the mind to connect dots that noise keeps apart when you live among noise. For too long, your thoughts become restless. You start reacting instead of responding. You lose the ability to think deeply and clearly. On the other hand, when you spend time in silence, you hear your own inner voice more clearly. That voice tells you what truly matters, what is worth your time, and what deserves your focus. Listening to that inner guidance is what gives direction to your life. In our fast world, everyone wants to speak first, post first, and react first. But rarely do people stop to reflect. Reflection only happens in quiet. Silence doesn't mean you have nothing to say. It means you are thinking before you speak. It means you respect your own words enough to give them meaning. The most impactful people are not those who talk constantly, but those who speak rarely and wisely. Their words carry weight because they come from reflection, not reaction. Learning to filter noise is like cleaning a window. When the glass is dirty, the light can't pass through clearly. But once you wipe away the dirt, you see the world as it truly is. The same happens with the mind. When you allow too many opinions, judgments, and distractions to enter, your mental clarity fades. When you practice silence and focus on meaningful voices, clarity returns. Suddenly, your goals, priorities, and direction in life become obvious. It's important to understand that not all noise comes from the outside world. Some of the loudest noise comes from within, from your doubts, fears, and insecurities. These internal voices can shout louder than anything outside, convincing you that you are not good enough or that you should stop trying. The key is to quiet those voices too. You silence them not by ignoring them, but by listening once, learning what they are trying to teach you, and then letting them go. True peace comes when you stop chasing every sound that demands your attention. When you learn to sit quietly with your thoughts, you start hearing life's real rhythm. That rhythm guides you toward patience, gratitude, and understanding. It helps you make better decisions because they come from clarity, not pressure. The more you practice silence, the more powerful your focus becomes. And when you focus deeply, even a few words of wisdom can change your entire perspective. Choosing silence doesn't mean disconnecting from people. It means connecting with meaning. It means choosing conversations that inspire rather than drain, choosing company that uplifts rather than distracts. The more you grow, the less you feel the need to speak constantly. You find peace in listening, in thinking, and in acting only when necessary. That is the difference between living loudly and living wisely. Some people confuse silence with weakness, but in truth, silence is strength under control. Anyone can shout. It takes strength to stay calm. Anyone can react. It takes wisdom to wait. Silence doesn't prove that you are afraid. It proves that you are focused. It shows that you value understanding more than attention. And eventually the world learns to respect those who speak with purpose, not those who speak the most. So, as you move through life, remember to protect your mind from noise. Don't let the world's chaos decide your pace or shape your thoughts. Find moments of quiet in your day, whether in the morning before the world wakes up or at night when everything slows down. Use that time to listen to others, to yourself, and to the universe around you. In those moments, you'll discover that silence is not empty. It's full of lessons waiting to be heard. It's full of direction, wisdom, and peace. When you choose silence over noise, you gain something far more valuable than attention. You gain understanding, and in that understanding lies the power to create, to grow, and to lead a life that is calm on the surface but deeply purposeful within. Wisdom is not just about what you know, it is about what you do with what you know. Many people spend their lives collecting information, advice, and experiences, yet their actions never reflect that knowledge. They keep learning but never apply what they learn. Real wisdom begins when knowledge turns into action. It is not measured by how much you have heard, read, or seen, but by how much of that you have transformed into meaningful results. To act with wisdom means to move forward thoughtfully, not just quickly, to build with purpose, not just effort. Every day, life gives us countless chances to apply what we know. Every problem asks us to use our past lessons. Every failure invites us to try again, this time more intelligently. Yet, so often, we repeat the same mistakes because we listen but do not absorb, and we learn but do not act. The gap between knowing and doing is what keeps most people from achieving their true potential. Action through wisdom is what closes that gap. It is the bridge between understanding and transformation. Wisdom-driven action is very different from impulsive action. Anyone can react, but only the wise can respond. Reaction is fast, emotional, and often regrettable. Response, on the other hand, is thoughtful, calm, and effective. It comes from listening, learning, and then choosing the right step at the right time. When you act through wisdom, your decisions may seem slow to others, but they are steady and purposeful. You are not rushing to prove yourself. You are moving to improve yourself. It is easy to collect advice from others. People love to share what they think you should do. But wisdom teaches you that not all advice deserves to be followed. Some words will lead you forward while others may hold you back. That is why action through wisdom requires judgment, the ability to separate what is valuable from what is useless. You do not act just because someone tells you to. You act because your understanding agrees with it. That is what makes an action powerful. It comes from clarity, not confusion. The most successful people are not those who knew the most, but those who used what they knew at the right time. A single wise action is worth more than 100 good ideas that never leave the mind. Many people wait for perfect conditions before taking a step, thinking they need more time, more resources, or more certainty. But wisdom teaches you that perfect conditions rarely exist. Acting wisely often means acting with what you have where you are, while continuing to learn along the way. Wisdom-based action is also humble. It doesn't come from pride or a desire to prove something. It comes from understanding the responsibility of what you know. When you gain wisdom, it is not meant to stay locked within you. It is meant to be shared through your deeds. The world changes not through people who talk about change, but through those who embody it. The quiet acts of courage, kindness, and integrity done with wisdom, leave stronger marks on the world than loud speeches or grand plans. It is also important to remember that wise action doesn't always lead to instant results. Sometimes the effects of your decisions take months or years to reveal their value. Wisdom gives you the patience to wait and the strength to keep going even when others doubt you. When your actions come from understanding, you stop chasing quick success. You start building lasting impact. You focus less on being seen and more on being useful. There is another side to action through wisdom. It teaches you when not to act. Sometimes wisdom means walking away, staying silent, or choosing peace over victory. Knowing when to act and when to pause is part of mastering yourself. People who act without thinking often regret their choices. People who think without acting often regret their inaction. True wisdom lies in finding the balance between the two. When you act with wisdom, you begin to inspire others, not by what you say, but by what you do. Your behavior becomes your message. Your consistency becomes your credibility. People start trusting you because they see that your actions are guided by principles, not emotions. You become a person who leads by example, who teaches through action rather than words. That is the most powerful form of influence. The journey of turning knowledge into action also builds confidence. Every time you take a step based on what you have learned, you strengthen your belief in your own understanding. You realize that wisdom grows through experience, not just through thought. The more you apply what you know, the deeper your understanding becomes. And with that comes maturity, the calm assurance that you can handle whatever life presents. Acting through wisdom also means taking responsibility for your choices. It is easy to blame others or circumstances when things go wrong, but wise individuals look inward. They ask, what can I learn from this? How can I make it better next time? They see every outcome, good or bad, as a lesson. That mindset transforms mistakes into stepping stones and challenges into opportunities. Life rewards those who take responsibility, not those who escape it. In a world that celebrates speed, wisdom teaches us the power of direction. It is not about how fast you move, but about where you are heading. There are people who run quickly in circles, exhausting themselves but reaching nowhere. Then there are those who move slowly, steadily, and purposefully, guided by wisdom. And they arrive exactly where they need to be. The difference is not in effort, but in understanding. Action through wisdom is the mark of a truly evolved person. It shows that you have learned to listen, to think, and then to do. It means you no longer act out of habit or pressure, but out of purpose. It means you value quality over quantity, substance over appearance, and it means you have realized that the best way to honor the lessons life gives you is to live them out every day. So as you continue your journey, don't just collect wisdom. Use it, let it shape your decisions, your relationships, and your future. Because in the end, people will not remember what you knew. They will remember what you did with what you knew. The legacy of a wise person is not written in words. It is written in actions. And those actions, guided by understanding and purpose, have the power to change everything around you.